RadioVermont.com.
The energy.
So this guy in the fantasy baseball chat is just ripping me. He's calling me names for how I handled my team. Buddy, you had 20 weeks for your own team to play better. Don't be mad at me.
The passion.
Mac Jones is fighting not just for his Patriots job, but he very well may be fighting for his NFL future.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
For the Red Sox, it can't always be about next year. It can't always be about down the road. Where's the team that battles for now?
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Brady Farkas Show back at it on a Wednesday, all 90 minutes, 5:30 until 7 o'clock here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Playoff baseball going on right now. The Phillies and Braves tied at 0. That game is in the top of the second. We will bring you some updates on that. We've got game 3 tonight of the Dodgers and Diamondbacks series. That game is going to begin with our coverage at 8:30. First pitch is 9:07, so we are in the throes of it. Sadly, the Red Sox are not, but we still have playoff baseball. We'll talk a little baseball and a little NHL opening night for the Bruins with Tom Caron, our Sox insider, our Bruins insider as well, over at NESN. He'll be with us at about 5:40 or so, and then John Becker, UVM men's basketball coach, going to stop by today, too, at about 6:20 or so. I'm very, very excited about talking to Coach Becker. The team is about 3 weeks away from the first game of the year, 3.5 weeks away from the first game of the year, 2.5 weeks away from the first exhibition game of the year. So we are rolling. Like, we are just about in basketball season for UVM, and I cannot wait. You can get in 802-585-3026. That's 802-585-3026. I'm here. You're here. Danny is here producing and engineering the show. Danny, let go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans. Swanton Lumber, also Rouse's Point, New York. They're online at sticksandstuff.com. I want to talk about this Mac Jones quote and the situation at hand here. So by now you may have heard this, but following Sunday's loss, 34-0 against the Saints, our guy, our friend, Fox Sports' Henry McKenna, reported that someone in Mac's camp is saying some not so nice things, right? It was attributed to a, quote, source close to Jones. The quote from Mac's camp is, no matter how good of a cook you are, you cannot make garbage taste good. Even if it was not Mac at quarterback, what quarterback would want to play here under these conditions? So that is from someone close to Mac. There's a couple of different things here. One, I do not hold this against Mac Jones, right? I hold the lack of arm strength, the lack of overall athleticism, sometimes being a dirty player. I hold all that stuff against Mac Jones. I do not hold this against Mac Jones. This is not his fault, right? Somebody close to Mac Jones has unnecessarily put this out there, has unnecessarily run their mouth, and has unnecessarily created an issue for Mac. But that is not Mac's doing, right? Mac cannot be responsible for everything that everyone around him says, right? He can't be responsible for what his girlfriend says, or what his parents says, or what his high school teammates say, or what his best buddies say, or what his agent says, or whoever this is. Mac Jones cannot be responsible necessarily for everything that everyone around him has to say. We see this all the time, right? Somebody's wife goes on social media and says things. Heck, Gisele Bundchen said about Tom Brady, like, does he have to catch the ball too or whatever when Wes Welker dropped the pass in the Super Bowl? He's like, Brady can't throw it and catch it. Heck, Gisele did this too. That's not Tom's fault. Okay, that's not Tom's fault. You're not responsible for what your wife says, for what your girlfriend says, for what your old teammates say, for what former players say. You're not responsible for any of that. So if this quote is being held against Mac Jones, I do not hold it against him. That said, now Mac needs to pick up the pieces. And while he's not responsible for what his camp says, he needs to try his best to get his camp in line, because this is the last thing that Mac Jones needs, right? I say, you hear it in the intro there. right? When the show intro played 4 minutes ago, what does it say that I say there? Mac Jones is fighting for not only his Patriots life, but also his football life. The last thing that he needs is people thinking the people around him are problems. Mac Jones has enough problems at this point on his own. He does not need the people around him to become problems as well. So while Mac is not responsible for what those around him say, he needs to go and give a stern talking to everybody in his circle, right? His personal circle, his agency circle, wherever his group is, whether it's 2 people or 20 people or 200 people, he needs to go to them and try to get them in line, because Mac doesn't need this, right? We've already got reports out that he's losing the locker room. We've already got reports out earlier today from Mike Giardi of Boston Sports Journal saying confidence in Mac is teetering. We've already got the relationship with Belichick and Mac over the offseason that was frosty. We've already got that Mac isn't a great athlete or doesn't have a great arm. We've already got that the team is 1-4. We've already got all of these questions. You do not need the people around you to create more problems for you. I don't know anything about what it's like to be famous, but I have to imagine that when you're in a position like Mac Jones is in, you need people around you that make your life better and that make your life easier, not that make your life worse and more difficult. And that is what this person has done here. Okay, that is what this person has done here. Whoever says this has made Mac Jones's life more difficult. And Mac doesn't need that. He's got a lot of other things going on. He's got a lot of other things to worry about. This one, if I would be going to everybody in my camp saying, who said it? And don't talk again, right? Tom Brady's dad used to say things, and Brady was like, look, I can't speak for my dad, or I can't control what my dad says. Maybe at some point, Mac just needs to cut people out of his circle. Again, I don't know who this is, but if it's someone that's not completely vital, maybe they're just gone. Maybe they're just gone from his circle, because this is unnecessary, and it's not needed, and it has created a distraction for him that he doesn't need. He needs to be focused on rectifying his play, on getting his teammates back, on winning people over in the building. Mac Jones truly is fighting for his Patriots life. And now we've got the reports of lack of confidence. We've got his general overall unathleticism. You've got a resume now that isn't that great. You've got questions about him being a dirty player. He is on close to his last legs in Foxborough, and this doesn't make it any easier. So if I'm Mac, I'm going to my circle, and I'm telling people to get in line or get out. And I spoke to Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio earlier today, Danny, and he said basically the same thing.
Shut up, because the last thing you need is somebody who may be close to the situation, but is not directly involved in that situation, speaking out. You know what that is? That's the case of like somebody's little brother speaking up for big brother, because I remember Marcus Vick did that, Michael Vick, and then Michael Vick said, look, you're going to have to shut that down. We're not having that kind of nonsense. If you're Mac Jones, you don't have any leg to stand on that you can have somebody in your camp say those kind of things.
That's the other thing, too. Like, Mac is not good enough to have a camp that speaks out and calls other people not good enough, right? Like, we don't have to like that Giselle spoke out on behalf of Tom Brady on social media 15 years ago. We don't have to like that, but that's Tom Brady, right? Like, we would look at it and say, man, Giselle shouldn't have done that, but you know what? Hey, she's kind of right. Like, if Patrick Mahomes' wife said something, we'd say, oh man, she kind of rubs me the wrong way, but you know what? She's kind of right. Like, Patrick shouldn't have to do everything. Mac Jones is not that guy. Mac Jones is not good enough to have a camp that is creating headaches for him. He needs everybody to be in line. He needs everybody to be in line, and he needs himself to be in line, and he needs all of his focus on getting this team better and getting himself better. Now, interestingly enough, also, there's this dynamic. So I do not blame Mac for this, but Mac needs to go and get his teammates or get his camp in line. But Henry McKenna, who wrote the report for Fox Sports, said that Mac's camp is upset with the Patriots. Danny, give me Henry McKenna number 3, kind of about how deep this goes.
But I think it goes all the way back to like how the Patriots handled his ankle injury last year, and how he it seemed a few times like he got benched, and the optics were confusing. Belichick never clarified. And so, Jones kind of came away looking he was sort of taking a hit, like his persona was taking a hit. And I think going all the way back to that point where Belichick did what he always done, which is sort of like won't answer questions. But it's like at this point, that's the situation that really needed clarity.
This is the problem with what Bill Belichick did to Mac Jones last year. Not only was it the offensive coordinator situation, not only was it play calling and all that, it was how he treated Mac. And again, the people speaking out in Mac's camp is not Mac's fault, but how Belichick treated Mac, I think, has contributed to his camp being disgruntled and no longer wanting or feeling like they need to have a filter. And that is the problem too, right? Like this is a very layered conversation. It's not necessarily one person's fault. It's not Mac's fault. It's also not entirely Bill's fault, but it is somewhat Bill's fault. If Bill Belichick alienates Mac Jones, and if Bill Belichick makes Mac Jones look bad, and if Bill Belichick won't, or he talks down about Mac and won't name Mac the starter last year, and talks about how great Zappe is and won't give Mac the job back, and then pulls him on Monday Night Football against Chicago and everything, like, you're going to rub people the wrong way. So, this is a deep-seated issue here. And it maybe is why everybody needs a fresh start next year. I do believe that Mac Jones can be a good NFL quarterback. I don't know that he can be a good NFL quarterback anymore here under Bill Belichick at this point. This is deep-seated stuff. Mac clearly does have some issues with Bill. We've known that. Mac's camp clearly has some issues with Bill and with the Patriots. We're learning that. They no longer feel the need to stay quiet. And all you're doing at that point is creating problems for Mac. I do get why Mac is upset, or why Mac's side is upset. You wasted a year of my career last year with this garbage offensive coordinator situation. They were trying to force him into the internal brace procedure or whatever that suture thing was on his ankle. Mac didn't want to do it. Belichick seemed to be looking down on him for that. Thought he could have gotten back quicker. The handling of and none of that is good. And it has created a resentment here, and it has created a problem. And I feel bad for Mac that he's in it. I felt bad for Mac last year that Belichick did this to him, that Belichick played these mind games with him, right? We always heard about Phil Jackson in the 90s, Danny, with the Zen Master thing and all that. That doesn't work for everybody, and it might not work at all in 2022, which is when Belichick pulled it on Mac. I felt bad for him last year. I feel bad for Mac that he's dealing with it this year, and I feel bad that his camp is apparently fed up because his camp's creating more problems for him that he doesn't need. Let's continue on with Mac here. We got TC coming in a couple of minutes, but Dan Orlovsky, former NFL quarterback, he was on ESPN radio yesterday, he was on WEEI yesterday, and he was asked, like, at this point, what would you tell Mac Jones?
You got to stretch here where your body language has to be the best it's been. Your leadership has to be the best it's been, because you hear rumblings about some of that stuff that doesn't sit well with folks. And as bad as it is right now, it's a great opportunity for Mac Jones to grow in his leadership role and grow in his body language role and grow in I'm unfazed. I'm coming to work every single day and doing my job the very best I can for myself and for my team.
Orlovsky's 100% right. I just wonder if Mac has that in him. And I'm not trying to pile on Mac, but we have seen Mac have a lack of maturity multiple times. Orlovsky's right. If Mac is not going to wow you with his play right now, he needs to wow people with his intangibles, because he's on display now for the Patriots, and he's on display now for every team in the league. Because if the Patriots want to move him, who wants to acquire him? If the Patriots want to cut him, who wants to go and sign him? Mac Jones is fighting for his chance in the NFL. Orlovsky's right. If you're not going to impress me with your play in this situation, impress me with all the intangibles. Okay, be a great leader. Be a great teammate. Let the reports in the locker room come out where you come out looking sterling. That goes a long way towards keeping you in the league. I just wonder if Mac has it in him, because we've seen Mac with the immaturity. We've seen the questionable leadership, the questionable behavior, the frustration, the antics. He cares, no doubt, but he doesn't always show it in the right way. And at some point, does the reputation get out and say, you know what, this guy is just he's more trouble than he's worth. Okay. Or, I don't really like his attitude. I wonder that, right? I wonder that. Like, I don't know. Like, I wonder if people on the outside look at Mac Jones like, a little bit petty, a little bit petulant, rather, because I think that's how they look at him in Foxborough at this point. So if they're looking at him like that here, aren't they probably looking at him like that outside the building also? And I don't know if Mac can undo that. I don't know if he has it in him to undo it. Again, Orlovsky's right. You can sit him down and tell him, like, hey, man, your future depends on what you do the next 12 games, playing and intangibles. But I've seen Mac, when the going gets tough, revert back to old habits. And if the team stays this bad, I don't know that he can't not revert back to old habits. I hope he can. I hope Mac Jones has a second act in his career, here or otherwise, right? Whether it's like Geno Smith or Baker Mayfield or whatever, I hope he has a second act in his career. The next 12 games are going to go a long way towards determining whether he does, both on the field and off the field. Orlovsky's right. We'll see if Mac has it in him. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM at WDEVradio.com. I want to switch things up right now because we got our guy Tom Caron calling in. TC, our Red Sox and Bruins insider over at NESN, is on the phone with us. And Danny's, we've got him right now. So TC, thank you for being with us. A little playoff baseball on in the background here in the studio. How are you?
Doing well. How you doing, Brady?
I'm doing well as well. It's funny. I'm watching the baseball playoffs last night, and I'm watching Rangers and Orioles, and I'm thinking to myself, this Eovaldi guy who was pitching for Texas, he looked pretty good. Could the Red Sox have had a guy like him before? Oh, wait.
They had a guy they had him. And it's, he's the one, it's funny. Somebody texted me last night. My son texted me last night. He's like, I'll tell you what, that's a bigger loss than Bogarts. Forget about Xander. They needed the pitching. He's one that you definitely let get away. The injury history is there. There's no doubt about it. But when healthy, we've seen what he does. A guy who, works out like he set the tone for working out for the pitchers. Everybody followed, the young guys followed, and has always been a big game guy when he gets the opportunity. So you saw it on display again last night. And, when you go back to Corey Kluber being your opening day starter, it's hard not to watch Nate Eovaldi last night and scratch your head and wonder how you let that get away.
It's interesting. The Red Sox made a couple of coaching changes this week, getting rid of Carlos Fables, who's their third base coach, and their infield coach, getting rid of Dave Bush, who's their pitching coach. Let me start with Bush for a second, because I don't know the answer to this. I couldn't tell you that he was great. I couldn't tell you that he was horrible. What I do know is that the Red Sox were relying on a lot of older and historically broken down pitchers. And is that a pitching coach problem, or is that a front office problem?
Again, I always seem to go with C, all of the above. It was definitely both. I thought Dave was actually a really good pitching coach, guy who could take information and take the analytics and take the biomechanical data and sort of pass it on, dumb it down when guys needed to be dumbed down. He's a guy who had a good major league career, so he could speak to that. But, the guy I keep thinking about when this all went down earlier this week was Ryan Brazier, and how Ryan Brazier learned a slider in 10 days in L.A. and suddenly became a weapon for them out of the bullpen. That, to me, is the type of occurrence that leads to an overhaul of your pitching mechanism. That Paul Abbott, who's a AAA pitching coach and a guy the pitchers love.
Former Mariner, great.
Former Mariner. So they clean house on the pitching side. And I think that's to be expected, right? Carlos Fables goes, he handled the infield defense. Infield defense was awful. So, you can't just pay lip service to we're going to make some changes here and bring everybody back. So I think this was the beginning of the acknowledgement of there's going to have to be some changes.
It's interesting though. I'm not pushing back on the Brazier point because it's a good one and it's a valid point. But I look at it, Josh Winkowski got a lot better this year. I thought Cutter Crawford made real strides and became a guy who can be a major league pitcher. Maybe he's your number 5, but he can be a major league pitcher. Yeah. Guys,
and Schreiber last year, but he regressed this year. But Schreiber last year, right?
Yeah.
they did that same thing with other guys who were cast-offs, right? Brennan Bernardino this year, right? I mean, he wasn't even in independent league ball in America. He was like
another former Mariner great.
Canada. Again, a former Mariner. We start throwing great around this easily, it's going to be a long day. But yeah, so you're right. But it's just this year, the cycle kind of went the other way. And Winkowski regressed by the end of the season. Crawford, the last start or two were really important for Crawford because I think he reestablished his case to be a starter in the future. But it had been 3 or 4 in a row that were not very good. Again, sometimes, the old cliche, right? You can't fire all the players, so you got to look at who you can fire, and coaches are easy to fire.
Talk to me a little bit about kind of the off-season timeline here, right? World Series will end sometime around the 1st of November. I would think you'd like to have a GM and a baseball ops guy in by that point before you head to the GM meetings and can start free agency. Am I right on that? Or are they really going to take their time?
No, I think so. I think it's, that the GM meetings are like a week after the end of the World Series, more or less, right? I mean, there's a lot of, like a Justin Turner. And Justin Turner's option is his, so you don't need anybody in place for Justin Turner to make his decision, right?
Right.
But he's got to make it 5 days after the end of the World Series. Like, there are a lot of those kind of things, right? Arbitration declarations and free agents that you're going to qualify or not. I don't think there are a lot of those in this case, but I just think that it's going to be a lot tougher to go into that without a guy in place. I've been told they've had interviews. I've been told at least one person, I have no idea who, but from outside has interviewed. So the process is going on, and I don't see why it would take a month. I mean, you should have isolated the list by now, and you should be digging into that list. There's no reason you can't get this done by the end of the month.
Tom Caron, Red Sox insider at NESN. Bruins as well, here with us on the Brady Farkas Show on DEV. Bruins tonight open up the season. They're going to take on the Chicago Blackhawks. Number 1 pick, Connor Bedard, coming to town. Watched a little bit of his game last night against Pittsburgh. Scored a point, and that one, 18 years old or whatever. Very, very cool story. The Bees right now are a different team than we saw last year, right? Last year, the record-breaking team. This year, no Bergeron, no Krejci. I would still say they're good. I don't know that they're cup good. What do you think going into the season?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I think they are good. I think they should be a playoff team. I can't, and frankly, after last year, I don't think anybody wants them to set any records in the regular season. Just get to the playoffs and be okay. Listen, you've got goaltending, and you've got twice as much goaltending as a lot of teams have. And that starts everything. So you've got that. And let's not get way ahead of ourselves, but I'm surprised they didn't trade one of them in the offseason. They now have the possibility of trading one at the deadline, right? So there's no bigger weapon than having a goalie to trade if you want to go for it and do something. So we'll see where that all goes. Up front, they're going to be, Patois, as we all figure out the appropriate way to say his name. He says, he wants to stay. They've got 10 games to figure that out. If you ever seen him, I mean, he looks like a high school sophomore in person. He's I don't know what they list him as, but he's 150 pounds, if that. But man, he can fly, he can dangle, he's got some moves. And watching Bedard last night, looks like a little kid playing with men. But man, he get 11 shots last night?
He was all over the ice, that's for sure.
All over the ice. I think he played 20-some minutes. I'm in Chicago right now, and this place is buzzing about him, especially after the comeback win last night.
Were you at the game last night? Or no, it was in Pittsburgh?
No, it was in Pittsburgh. Yeah, it was in Pittsburgh. But we were out at a deep dish place watching it, and the place was buzzing with those 4 unanswered goals. So, I think that a lot will be on him. Up front, this question. Charlie Coyle's now got to just establish himself as a top guy. What's Van Riemsdyk got left? What's Lucic got left? You got young guys who got to prove themselves. But you got a lot of old guys who got to prove that they can still handle the workload here. I like them defensively. I think they've got some depth back there, and that's what you need, right? It's not just your top defense. It's how deep are you at the 6, 7, 8 spot when guys get injured, and they will. So I think they're a good team. I think this should be a fun season. I'm looking forward to it.
TC, I'm happy it's opening night. I don't really like the feeling, though, of October 11th, looking forward to hockey and Celtics basketball because Patriots season's already over.
Yeah, it lasted about a week longer than the Red Sox.
Yeah,
right. That was That was the old joke they used to always love, that the baseball season was over before football season began, right? Dan Shaughnessy would throw that one out whenever the Red Sox had a bad season. So the Patriots outlasted them by a week. Yeah.
All the laughing we did at other teams for all those years, that's now us. That's where
way back when, Dennis Eckersley used to sit with me in studio. And when times were good, like 07, 08, and you thought they were going to be the Dodgers, right? And they were going to be in it every year. And he said, "Man, I'm so glad we don't do this in Kansas City or Pittsburgh. Can you imagine doing this, having to come on there?" And then you fast forward to back-to-back. I mean, they last placed 3 out of 4 years in 2011 Chicken and Beer. And I remember looking at one point and said, well, there you go. We are Kansas City. We are doing it, and that's what it feels like with the Patriots right now. Which is, you'd be like, man, thank God we're not the Jets. Well, you are the Jets.
What was X line last year about Pittsburgh? Hodgepodge of nothingness.
Hodgepodge of nothingness.
That's where
and the Patriots feel like a hodgepodge of nothingness right now. That's well said.
TC, be well. We'll catch up next week.
All right, thanks, Brady. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. There goes Tom Caron, our Red Sox and Bruins insider over at NESN. It is opening night. Happy opening night to you, Bruins fans. TD Garden tonight will be rocking, I am sure. Bruins obviously coming off a very disappointing first-round exit last year after the record-breaking year against the Florida Panthers. And we do get to see the number 1 pick in the draft tonight, Connor Bedard. And I will make a point to watch some of this game, right? Like, I make no bones about it. I can't get into hockey while football season is really going on. But as football season becomes a little less relevant to me right now because of the Patriots, I might have to get into hockey a little earlier this year. I did watch Bedard yesterday. I watched probably 10 minutes of the Blackhawks and Penguins game. I saw Sidney Crosby score a goal in that one for Pittsburgh. So Bedard, he was all over the ice. He is small in comparison to the other guys on the ice. But yeah, I think he's 18 years old, right? Like, Danny, look up how old Connor Bedard is. I think he's 18. I might be wrong on that, but he's certainly younger than 20. I mean, he is, he's the next phenom in the NHL. So
he's 18.
Okay, 18 years old. I mean, this is
as
a kid,
of July.
He just turned 18 in July.
Correct.
Okay, so this is a kid who is younger than a lot of high school seniors, and here he is in the NHL. I mean, just to physically be able to hold up in that environment and then be able to score goals and skate fast, etc. It's going to be tough, but he is supposed to be the next Ovechkin, the next Crosby, and I'm excited to watch that tonight. Bruins do have a lot of questions, right? Like, Bruins do have a lot of questions. We look at this team, as TC said, younger guys, older guys, how they handle the goaltending. Do they want to move on from a goaltender at some point? They didn't move on from the goaltender this year. The leadership group is different now, with Marchand as the captain and Pasternak and McAvoy with bigger leadership roles given kind of their long-term contract status. So I do think the Bruins are good. I don't think that they're cup good. But then again, I don't know who is cup good in the NHL right now. Toronto is always good. Can't ever seem to finish. The Islanders have been good, haven't been able to finish. So we will see. I don't think Florida is destined for another repeat year like they had. Tampa Bay might be able to get another crack at this thing, so we'll see what happens. But again, for the Bruins, it starts tonight. 7:30 is the time the puck drops there. As for the Red Sox firing coaches, again, I don't know what is attributed to coaching and what is attributed to front office play and what is attributed to just players or whatever potentially not being good. But you look at it, Carlos Fables, I can reconcile him being fired. The infield defense was awful. Devers reversed. We saw what Kike did at shortstop. They really struggled there. Tristan Casas really wasn't very good at the beginning of the year. Dave Bush being fired, I have a little bit more of, I wouldn't say an issue with that, but look, James Paxton and Chris Sale were never guys to be relied upon, right? They were never guys to be relied upon. Chris Sale or Corey Kluber was never a guy that should have been relied upon. We talk about Mac Jones like a great cook can't make bad ingredients taste good. It's kind of what the Red Sox had, at least in terms of guys that you can rely on. I do think Cutter Crawford was better. I do think Winkowski was better. I do think the bullpen overall was pretty good. So is that all Dave Bush's fault? I don't know, but sometimes, again, as TC said, it's easier to fire the coaches than it is to fire all of the players. Right now, it's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. John Becker, UVM men's basketball coach, is going to join us at about 6:20. By the way, Danny, you disagreed with me yesterday. I want you to know The people who are high up agree with me. I'm going to prove it to you next on DEV.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren, 96.5 W243 AT Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Monica Ricks. The death toll of Americans killed by Hamas has jumped to 22, and 17 others are still missing. But more than 1,200 people have died in Israel in the last 5 days, and President Biden calls it the deadliest day for Jews since the Holocaust.
The past few days have been a solemn reminder that hate never goes away.
Secretary of State Anthony Blinken's headed to Israel to help assess the country's needs and discuss the hostage situation there.
We have a number of Americans who remain unaccounted. We are working very closely with the government of Israel to determine their whereabouts and if they have been taken hostage by Hamas, to work to secure their release.
Meantime, Israel has vowed to destroy Hamas in Gaza. But many innocent civilians have been caught in the crossfire. Kamal Mashwari spoke with a translator. He's sheltering in a safe room with 45 relatives.
My lungs started to hurt me because of the bad smell that the explosives are giving. The noise is just breaking our ears. They're bleeding because it is so loud.
More than 1,000 Palestinians have been killed there. House Republicans are rallying support for Steve Scalise, who says they need to get back to work to help our ally.
We need to make sure we're sending a message to people all throughout the world that the House is open and doing the people's business. And our first resolution that we pass under Speaker Steve Scalise will be to make it clear that we stand with Israel.
It's unclear when a speaker vote could happen. George Santos is standing his ground despite facing more federal charges.
As George Santos tells reporters he won't step down following even more allegations.
No, I will not. Excuse me.
There's a new push by Democrats to oust him. House Democratic Caucus Chair Pete Aguilar.
We firmly believe, the House Democratic Caucus firmly believes, that that individual, that George Santos, does not meet the standards of someone who should serve under this dome.
A group of first-term New York Republicans also say they'll push to expel Santos from Congress. Matt Piper, CBS News, New York.
The Coast Guard says it's recovered remaining debris from a submersible that imploded back in June, including possible human remains. That sub was about 1,600 feet from the Titanic when it killed all 5 people on board. Big money up for grabs later tonight. CBS's Steve Kathan.
Sir, this is $20 for you.
Ticket sales expected to be brisk.
I have absolutely no idea what I would do with it. I'm a grad student right now, so I can barely pay my rent.
It's the second largest lottery prize in history.
$1.73 billion. It could go even higher, though, if no one wins. This is CBS News.
You need to hire? Indeed is with you every step of the way, helping you attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Hi, I am Dr. Sarah Waterman, a general surgeon at Copley Hospital. In addition to offering general surgery care, I have a special interest in women's breast care. Mammograms are an important screening. They can save lives by finding breast cancer in its earliest stages, often when most treatable. Stage 1 breast cancer has a 99.1% survival rate. Guidelines now suggest women get their first mammogram at age 40. However, if you have a family history of breast cancer or certain cancers, your practitioner will recommend screening at an earlier age. Thanks to you, we will soon be able to perform stereotactic biopsies right here at Copley, in addition to our current mammography and breast ultrasound programs. To learn more about mammograms and women's health at Copley, check out my blog at copleyvt.org. To schedule your mammogram, call Copley's Radiology Department at 802-888-8358.
Signs catch your eye and promote your business. Hi, this is Trish at Always On Time Signs. We design and produce custom signs for businesses big and small. Commercial signs, safety signs, banners, window, wall, and floor graphics, and much more. You'll be impressed by our customized designs and quick service, and you'll love our competitive prices. Come see how our experienced designers can create the sign you're looking for. Always On Time Signs in Berlin, online at alwaysontimesigns.com.
Local businesses advertise with WDEV because they get results. Brian Bittner of Bittner Antiques shares his experience advertising with WDEV.
We've done a number of recorded ads with WDEV, which have a great response. And we've also been doing live radio call-ins once a week for the past few years. And the response at that has just been amazing.
Interested in advertising on WDEV? Contact us at WDEV@radiovermont.com.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on this Wednesday, WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. John Becker is going to stop by in about 15 minutes, talk about a little Catamount hoops with us. UVM getting ready for their first preseason game a couple weeks from now. Their regular season opener is November 6th against Merrimack. Playoff baseball on in the studio. The Braves and Phillies tied at 1. That game is in the bottom of the third. Nick Castellanos just hit a solo home run in that one for Philly to tie it up. Again, we'll have playoff baseball tonight on DEV between the Dodgers and Diamondbacks. Our coverage at 8:30. First pitch is at 9:07. So Jazz with George Thomas will lead into that game. I want to get to some more Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick stuff. We actually got sent a very interesting article from a listener a little while ago. I do want to get to that. But first, Danny, I want to put you on the hot seat a little bit here.
Uh-oh.
Because yesterday I said that I was bothered by the Celtics doing all this talking about how much they were believing in defense, right? About how they were making a change. I said I was bothered by that. I said I was annoyed by it. I said I am a show me guy, not a tell me guy. You, on the other hand, were happy to hear the Celtics flouting how great they were going to be on defense this year. Well, I spoke to my guy, Freddie Coleman of ESPN Radio today, and I told him to break the tie. And guess what? He's on Team Brady.
No, you're not, because I'm the same way. Because anytime I hear somebody go above and beyond and say they're doing something properly, that means they're more concerned or they have those kind of misgivings about what they're going to do. To go back to my early music radio days, anytime a music rep would come in and say, this record is great, this record is great, this record is great, I knew that record was terrible. They were trying to sell me on it to add it to our rotation of the radio station. When you're good at something, you don't have to tell people. It's going to be shown. For example, Golden State does not need to tell me how great they are shooting the three-point basketball. I know they can do that. I've seen that.
Thank you. Like, defend yourself now, Danny, because I was right yesterday. You were wrong yesterday, and Freddie's on my side today. And he used almost the exact same quote that I said yesterday. When you are good at something, you'll tell everybody. When you're great at something, they'll tell you, and you'll just be able to show it because it will speak for itself. Look, I am not a handy person. The world knows this. I made that very clear. I was thrilled to death with my ability to fix up that entertainment center this year. But you know what? After I did it, I was like, looks pretty good, doesn't it? Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Looks pretty good, doesn't it? Hey, yeah, I feel like it's pretty good, don't you? Like, I'm trying to tell everybody who sees it, right? My aunt was around. My mom saw it at one point. Jess saw it. I'm like, hey, it looks pretty good, right? Looks pretty good, right? Looks pretty good, right?
How many Facebook posts?
I was looking for the validation. I was looking for validation on it. I was looking to talk myself into believing that it will look good. Right? And it does look good, but I didn't necessarily trust that it looked good. So I had to keep talking about it, keep advertising it, keep posting about it. When you're good at something, or when you're great at something, your work just speaks for itself, Danny. Defend yourself. Are you ready to come over to our side 24 hours?
No, Freddie for the win. I'll give him that.
Thank you. So what? You listen to Freddie, but not me. When I said it yesterday, it was dumb, but because Freddie said it today, it's great. We should all believe it.
Well, you made a good point yesterday that it wasn't exactly the Celtics putting that out. It was their, media arm of NBC Sports Boston, but they're trying to sell a narrative to start the season, and I get it, but it wasn't the Celtics players. I mean, they were told to talk about defense in that video, and that's what came out. But yeah, they're going to have to prove it.
Yeah, they are going to have. By the way, Bryce Harper just hit a ball to the moon. Like, Bryce Harper just hit a 3-run homer off of Bryce Elder. That's some Bryce on Bryce crime. This ball, it'll say it was hit 420 feet or something. At 408 feet, it had to have been hit 508 feet. This ball brought rain. It was hit so high and landed in the upper deck. That ball was absolutely crushed. Man, I miss playoff baseball. I miss the Red Sox being a part of playoff baseball. It doesn't feel right. I know 2021 is only 2 years ago, and for a lot of franchises, missing it for 2 years in a row is not really that big a deal, right? Like the Marlins would have killed to be in the playoffs 2 years ago, or the Pirates would be killed to be in the playoffs 2 years ago. So I get it. I'm not trying to be totally entitled, but I miss the days where we were just playing playoff baseball because I miss this environment. I'm not even watching the game really, right? Like I have the game on next to me in the studio. It's on mute. I can't hear anything, but I can just tell the atmosphere. And I miss the Red Sox being a part of that. And I want to see the Red Sox get back to it. I wanted to go more on the Celtics. We'll close it there. I'm right. Danny's wrong. Freddie's the tiebreaker, and Freddie's awesome. And Danny, you need to reconsider your life choices on this topic. But I want to
only when Freddie tells me to.
I want to see the Red Sox get back to this. I want to see the Red Sox playing meaningful baseball in October, meaningful baseball in September, heck, meaningful baseball down the stretch in August. I want to see a sold-out Fenway Park. I want to see a packed Fenway Park where you can feel the vibrations of the ballpark, even through the muted television screen, where I can envision the Bryce Harper blast that we just got coming off the bat of Rafael Devers, and Devers dropping the bat and staring at the ball and not moving and seeing it go past the bullpen and 20 rows back and just seeing it and feeling the crowd and seeing people, and a Chris Sale strikeout in the playoffs or a Kenley Jansen save in the playoffs. I just want to see it again. I miss it, and we deserve it. Okay, we deserve it, and I hope whoever's brought in to lead the Red Sox in the offseason, I hope that they are committed to giving that back to us, because I'm not sure that John Henry has been. I'm not sure that the group of owners and money people that have wanted to trim the cost and make savings, I'm not sure they're committed to giving us those moments. I hope that whoever is brought in is committed to giving us those moments, because I want that back. 2021, against who they beat? They beat the Yankees. Or 2018, what wild card against the Yankees? Or 2019 against the Yankees, whatever it was, they beat the Yankees in the one-game playoff. That was awesome. They beat Garrett Cole. That was great. Then you go to 2021, they get to the ALCS, and they lost to Houston, but those games were great. The first round of those playoffs were great. That's what I miss. That's what we need. That's what I'm craving. And I want the Red Sox to get back there, because as good as this is in Philly, as good as I'm sure it sounds on television, there's no place like playoff baseball in Boston. And we got to get there. And Danny, I'm disappointed. We're at a point where, and again, I know this is spoiled, but we're at a point where two of our teams right now are not really relevant. And one team, the Bruins, is a team that we have plenty of questions about.
Great time to watch the Celtics.
Right. Yes, exactly. It's not our birthright to have all four teams be good. It's not. Okay. Again, most cities would kill to just have one of their teams be good. So I do get it. But you look here, the Red Sox finish in last. The Patriots might finish in last. Neither one of them is going to have made the playoffs. The Bruins are a good team in transition. And then you have the Celtics, who we expect to be great. I miss the feeling of, Danny, what are we going to talk about today? Because you know what? We got four teams that are all relevant. I miss those days. I want those days back. We've had them before. We don't have them right now. I don't want to get to a point where we're pulling teeth and trying to say, okay, we got, hey, what are we going to talk about today? Man, Patriots, man, they're 2-9.
The Cowboys.
What can we even say? Like, you want us to talk about the Cowboys?
Like first take, let's do it.
No, we're not going all in on Cowboys. I refuse to just go to low-hanging fruit topics like that. 802-585-3026. Marion Randolph says, I want the Red Sox to get back to this too, because I'm lost without baseball on the radio. I'm lost without baseball on the radio, and I love having the full shows, right? I love that we're here for all 90 minutes. I love that we get to wrap it with you for 90 minutes most days here, at least until Norwich hockey and high school basketball come on. But I miss hearing Joe and Will and Lou and Sean McDonough and hearing Fenway behind them. Just seeing in Philly right now, it should be us. And TC said it a little while ago, like, I don't think it's that hard to get the Red Sox back. I mean, they're further along than the Patriots. There's no doubt about that. Like, who's closer It's the Red Sox to the Patriots, no doubt. Red Sox have some young talent. They have some cost-affordable talent, and they have a non-salary cap league. But they need to go out and make some moves this offseason to get us to this point. They need to get us to this point. Because this scene in Philly should be us. I want it to be us. I need it to be us. And you need it to be us. I want to see Rafael Devers again on the big stage at Fenway. I want to see Masataka Yoshida on the big stage at Fenway. I want to see the youngsters, whether it's Ceddanne Rafaela stealing bases or Willie Abreu or Jarren Duran wreaking havoc. Like, this is what I want. And this is what we got to get back to. And, I was talking with TC on the show. I spoke to him a little bit in the, earlier in the day when we were kind of planning getting him on. He said, Brady, I don't think it's that difficult to get the Red Sox good. It's not, because you could just go and buy talent, but they have to buy the right talent. They have to go out and make the right moves. Toronto's still good. Tampa's still good. Baltimore, I still think, is going to be very good next year. You're not just going to leapfrog all of these teams easily like it's nothing. But the Red Sox, I think they can make the moves. I hope they do. 802-585-3026. Look, we're going to have to step aside briefly here. We're going to get John Becker, UVM men's basketball coach. Danny, I still want to get into the Mac Jones story that you gave me earlier. I still want to get into what Peter and Williston said about Robert Kraft. But we got to talk a little UVM hoops because we're 3.5 weeks away from the start of the regular season. I am pumped up in Catamount country for this version of Catamount hoops. John Becker, the architect of the program. He's going to join us next on DEV.
Come experience the Vermont Fall Tradition. 2 shows for the price of 1. The Champlain Valley Craft Show and Antique Expo returns Friday, October 20th and is open Sunday through October 22nd at the Champlain Valley Expo in Essex Junction. Over 150 booths of American-made arts, crafts, specialty foods, and antiques. Come and meet the makers of fine crafts, including photography, stained glass, country wood crafts, primitives, folk art, steampunk, fine jewelry, pottery, wearable art, basketry, fiber arts, and so much more. Check out the Antique Expo featuring dozens of dealers of authentic antiques and vintage collectibles. Enjoy the tastes of warm Vermont fall foods and smells, or sample gourmet specialty foods including jams, jellies, nuts, fudges, oils, wine slushies, jerky, and more. We hope to see you at the Champlain Valley Craft Show and Antique Expo. More information at castleberryfairs.com. The Champlain Valley Craft Show and Antique Expo, proudly sponsored by WCAX.
Everyone loves a champion, someone whose performance puts them head and shoulders above the rest. But not all champions wear a medal or hoist a trophy. At the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, we see champions everywhere we look. In every sport, on every court, we're building a foundation to ensure all athletes are safe, supported, and strengthened. We believe abuse can be prevented by taking a hard look at how we coach, how we train, and how we interact after the last whistle. We have provided over 2 million safe sport trainings. At the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, ending abuse is not just our job. It's our promise.
Vermont's most innovative companies will be at the Vermont Tech Jam, powered by 7 Days on Saturday, October 21st at Hula in Burlington. Looking for work? At the Tech Jam, you'll meet recruiters face-to-face. Beta Technologies will be there, and Marvell, Core Power, VIP, Data Innovations, and National Life, too. Put on some real pants, step away from your remote desk, and step onto Hula's Lakeside Tech campus. Want to be inspired? Learn about lab-grown meat. Hear from Dr. Rachel Floriani and Irfan Tahir, 2 University of Vermont researchers who explain how they help grow cell-cultured meat. Should Vermont embrace cellular agriculture? To register for the Vermont Tech Jam presented by Hula and Marvell on Saturday, October 21st, visit techjamvt.com. That's techjamvt.com.
New England Municipal Resource Center, NEMRIC, proudly supporting local government, local businesses, and WDEV. Do you love a bargain? then the WDEV Trading Post online marketplace is for you. Get great deals on goods and services from local businesses, furniture, gift certificates, recreation discounts. You'll never know what you'll find. All deals are at a reduced price. Save money, and maybe you'll discover something new. The offerings and prices are constantly changing, so check back regularly at tradingpostmarketplace.com.
Think you know sports better than Brady does? Text in with your thoughts at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in. Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. I am getting pumped for Catamount basketball, right? Like this time every year, invariably, it just comes to me. I am getting very, very excited. Catamounts will open up their exhibition slate October 28th against Catholic. Then they'll get St. Mike's on November 1st, and the season opens November 6th against Merrimack. It's a team last year at UVM that again went to the NCAA tournament, that again won the America East Conference tournament and did so on their home floor. 23-11 last season, 14-2 inside league play. The man at the helm of all of it on the bench is John Becker, Catamount head coach. JB, thank you for being with us and doing a little state of the program today on this Wednesday. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Brady?
I am getting excited. As the Patriots become increasingly less relevant, I'm getting more and more excited for UVM hoops. November 6th is the opener for you guys against Merrimack. You guys have been practicing for a couple of weeks now. Overall, what's kind of the tenor of this team so far?
Yeah, I really like this team. I mean, they're really coachable. The chemistry's been really good, especially with 8 new players in the program. And they've been working hard. Really smart team, so they've been able to pick up concepts and as we implement our system, pick stuff up, and they've been really fun to work with.
Has anything surprised you in the early going about this team?
I mean, I guess everyone can play, and I think it's been we have 3 walk-ons, we have 16 guys on the roster, and we can have good, hard practices. Everyone that gets in, even the walk-ons, can hold their own. But with the scholarship guys, I'm going to have some tough decisions I'm going to have to make this year.
What kind of team are we looking at? Obviously, styles can evolve as the season goes on, but are we looking at a team that's up and down the floor, run and gun? Are we looking at a team that's a little slower, more half-court, methodical? What are we seeing so far?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a more athletic team. I think we have to take advantage of that. Shamir Bogues, the transfer from Tarleton State, who's a really, really good defensive player. Leary's become an elite defensive player. We have athletes, we have bodies. And so we're looking to, probably play more, in the full court on both sides of the ball. But we always want to be really good execution team in the half court on both sides of the ball. Just as the year goes on, it becomes much more of a half court game. So we're experimenting with some more up-tempo, type stuff on both sides of the ball, and we'll see. My comfort level is more, as we've known since I've been here, more of a grinded out type of half-court game, and so I've got to let go of certain things. But if we can become good at pressuring in the full court and not allowing easy baskets on the other end, then we'll do that.
I'm talking about Iliri Iofallie now that you mentioned it, because I saw the highlight the other day that the social media account posted of his kind of reverse windmill dunk in traffic there, and I was very, very impressed by that. He is super athletic and he's super long. If you told me he was going to be a guy who just played great defense and got 8 rebounds and didn't score, I'd probably be fine with that. But after seeing that, now I'm wondering if he could be like 8-8 this season. Where are you kind of seeing him at right now?
I'll tell you what, when he came back this summer, I didn't even recognize him, quite frankly. And it was I don't know if I've ever experienced that. He's put on 20, 25 pounds.
Wow.
Seems like he grew a couple inches, and just the swagger and confidence he had to where he was the year before when he arrived to our campus from URI. It's been remarkable, his buy-in, his growth, his development, a testament to him. And he is, he's been really, really impressive. Like you said, he's doing that quite often in practice. He's been super competitive. and he's, I expect him to have a big year and very versatile, be able to move him around, hopefully, and just the buy-in. And he's a Vermont basketball player through and through now, and he loves it. And he's been a leader in a lot of ways, and he's been impressive.
How important is it to get a little offense from him? Because you mentioned him being an elite defender, Shamir Bogues being an elite defender. It's great to have two elite defenders, but you can't punt offense at two spots per se. So how important is it to get some offensive development from those guys too?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're always striving to have 5 guys on the court that can dribble, pass, and shoot. And our guys understand that. They understand the freedom that they're going to have. And so, the beautiful thing with the culture of our program right now is we have all workers, guys that get in the gym, that want to get better, and they understand the opportunities that they're going to have. And, you've got to be a two-way player to be able to stay on the court for us at this stage. And so, all of our guys are working hard, and our coaching staff does a great job of developing guys. And so, he understands that, and his 3-point shot's gotten better. His cutting has gotten better, like that play that you saw there on the highlight. And he's just continuing, off the dribble. He got himself in trouble last year, trying to drive into traffic a little too much. So he's done a much better job of seeing his reads, making passes on time, and he's really coming along nicely.
John Becker, UVM basketball coach, with us here in the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. I'm guilty of this. I think a lot of people are. We get excited by the transfer portal and talking about all the new players that are coming in. And then I focused a lot on Aaron Deloney coming back. One guy I haven't talked a lot about this offseason has been Matt Veretto. How important is it, or how nice is it for him to have a normal offseason under his belt where he knows he's part of the team, he knows he's a big part of the team, he's not fighting for a role necessarily? How has he looked? What kind of that comfort there?
Yeah, I mean, like a Larry Matt, another guy that played a huge role on our championship team last year, made those 2 threes late in that UMass Lowell championship game to kind of allow us to pull away. And a guy that, last year, was coming off 3 years of not playing, wasn't sure. His confidence levels through the roof also. And so he understands also that he's going to have a much bigger responsibility to this year's team, being one of the best players. But he's looked terrific in practice. And the first week and a half of practice, he didn't make many shots. But the last week of practice, he's made everything, it seems like, that he's put up. And he's just one of our leaders this year, just vocal, understands what he's doing. The game slowed down for him here, where a lot of the new players, it's still, there's a lot of stuff that we've thrown at him, and their heads are still kind of spinning a little bit, but he's been a stabilizing force and a stabilizing guy. And he's imparted his wisdom to the young guys, and he's been really good.
How about TJ Hurley? Where's he at right now? Played for Team Canada, kind of in the World Junior Tournament here. A guy who played a big role for your team last year as well. Imagine, he steps into a more prominent role again this year. And how's he look so far?
Yeah, well, TJ played, like you said, in the World Cup for Canada, and that was a great experience. And I watched, got up early and watched those games, and he played increasingly better as it went on. And the thing that jumped out to me was he was really moving defensively really well in that tournament. He showed up on campus this summer, and he had some ankle issues. He rolled his ankle a couple times last year, missed some games last year, right. Rolled it a couple more times in the practices for Team Canada. So he just, we gave him a week off when he got to campus. That became 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And we finally decided to have surgery to repair some ligament damage. So he basically missed the whole summer and really wasn't cleared until the first day of practice, essentially. So he's been, and he was not really a full go for the first week. So he's got about, a week and a couple days of full go. And so he's trying to get his legs under him. And get his rhythm back. But that being said, he looks terrific. I mean, he's gotten considerably better. He's all of 6'4", maybe 6'5". Now, he's just, I always say the biggest growth in a player physically and from their game is between that freshman and sophomore year. And he's made a considerable jump, and he looks terrific. He looks really good. TJ Long, the transfer from Fairfield, another scorer, shooter, 6'4", in a similar kind of frame. the two of those guys have looked really, really good. But TJ looks great, and he's only, hopefully going to get better as he gets more confidence in his ankle, gets his conditioning back, and he's and he knows exactly, having been here for a year, it wasn't hard for him to kind of get up to speed with the system, and so he's looked terrific.
You talked to me a couple months ago about the schedule last year and how difficult it was and a lot of travel. You wanted to more regionalize it this year. You've certainly done that. The one question I have gotten a lot, and the one thing I've talked a lot about, is the 2 Division III games that are on the schedule, right? The Plattsburgh game and the NBU Johnson game. And not there's anything wrong with them, but you had mentioned to me in the past about maybe trying to get some bye games or get some teams to come to Patrick Gym that are D1 teams. What does it take to do that? Like how difficult is it from a financial standpoint, from a contact standpoint? How hard is it to make that happen?
Yeah, it's extremely difficult for us to schedule, and that's no secret, right?
Right.
And common for good mid-major teams. And so, in the past, we've tried to fill out the schedule, play one non-D1, but from a financial standpoint, just from a wear and tear standpoint, I made the decision along with Jeff Schulman. We worked much closer this year to build the schedule. We've got to bring in money, to the department by playing these bye games. And so, that's where our schedule starts. So we can't, in the past 10 years ago, we could go down and play BC, Providence, UConn, whoever, North Regional, St. John's, regional games, collect some checks, and satisfy that part of our obligation to the department. That's become increasingly difficult where we can't play any regional high major teams to get that guarantee money. So like, for instance, last year we had to fly out and play St. Mary's, USC, and down to Miami to satisfy those guarantee games. And now you're talking, the flights aren't covered, the hotels aren't covered, the meals aren't covered. Mm-hmm. And so we're having to cover that out of our budget, which just isn't big enough to support just the travel it takes to get to our league games and to some regional non-conference games. And then you're adding on top of, we don't get the guarantee money that goes to the department. So now we're taking the expenses out of our budget. And so it just wasn't feasible anymore. If we could charter maybe, but that's not where we're at. And so, so now we're playing 2 guarantee games instead of 3 next year. We're going to Bradley and Virginia Tech.
Yep.
And so with that other game, I'd like to play, if I could find a regional mid-major team to play a home and home against, that's what we're trying to do, instead of playing another D3 game at home. So we couldn't find another regional, Northeast team where we could take a bus down and back and have one night in a hotel. And so, I made the decision to play another Division III game so that instead of flying out to the West Coast or flying out to the Midwest to start a home and home, like we did with Toledo, like we did with, Miami of Ohio this year, I decided it's just for the balance of our schedule to play another non-D1, have a home game. It's not ideal, but, I think for the overall well-being of our players, for the overall balance of our schedule, and for, mainly for budget reasons, that was the decision I made.
JB, I'll get you out of here on this. Really just cool to see how far the program has come. And, in the decade plus you've been here, but in the 7 years that I've been around it, guys who are getting pro contracts, playing overseas, you get Anthony Lamb in the NBA, and you get Trey Bell-Haynes to go and win a medal at the World Championships. That was really, really cool this summer. Yeah, no, it's been so fun to see those guys. And, I'm so proud of what Trey, that's incredible what Trey did. I'm just so proud of him and what Anthony's been able to do. And now he's going over to New Zealand to play with the Breakers and playing some NBA games this week with that program before he heads back over there. And it's been cool. And my daughter's doing a semester abroad in Barcelona this spring. So I'm hoping right after our season to get over
to visit with her, but Trey's about an hour and a half from there. So I'm hoping to see a game
nice.
in the spring with him. So that would be cool. And speaking of how far our programs come, it was interesting. I have an exclusive here for you, but our American East Championship rings just came in. Paul Trono and Balfour did a great job, and they just came in today. And there's 10 gold diamonds in there to signify our 10 championships. But it dawned on me like how when it's funny you mentioned how far our programs come. Like our 10th ring as a program, and for a lot of guys it's their second and third ring, and we got these in today, and I'll bring them down to practice, and this is where we're at. Me and TV talk about this all the time, and he's the best, obviously, and the Godfather. But we'll just go down and give these out before practice and tell guys to put them in their lockers, and we'll go have practice where, when I first got here in the first couple one of these, we had a parade, and, we would go at halftime of a soccer game, whatever, and announce the team. And now we just kind of hand them out and say, throw them in your lockers and let's get back to work. So I love where we're at, but it's interesting. It dawned on me today when I got here and these got in, and it's like, do we want to hand them out to how are we going to do this? And it's just like, yeah, I guess we'll just bring them down to practice and hand them out. So, but thanks to Balfour and Paul Trono for these, and we're really proud of another championship, and we're looking forward to getting another one of these next year.
Well, some guys have 10. I have 0. So here's a free marketing idea for the athletic department. Give away replica ring night at Patrick Gym. So
love it.
There you go. Give away. Be a sellout crowd. It'll be a sellout anyways, but it'll be a line out the door for it. So JB, we're going to talk again next week. It's Conference Media Day, so you'll see me again about a week from now. So I look forward to catching up with you again next week.
Yeah, I love catching up with you, and thanks for all you do for the local sports scene and making it interesting and keeping people up to date on things and bringing excitement to our local sports scene.
Well, I appreciate that as well. There goes John Becker, the UVM men's basketball coach. Danny, I don't know about you, but I'm jacked. Like, I'm ready. Like, I am ready for the season. I'm ready to go through a wall. Like, you had said that you had always kind of followed UVM lukewarmly from afar, but now that you're on the show, you're really, really into it. I hope you're as jacked as I am.
Well, I'm excited, but you want a ring. That's what you want, right?
I don't need I tell you what, serious answer. Now, we had JB on video. The audience couldn't see him, but Danny and I could see him because sometimes it's easier for people to call. Sometimes it's easier for people to do video. So he was showing us the ring. You guys couldn't see it. That thing is awesome. Like, that thing's got 10 encrusted jewels in it there, showing the 10 championships. That thing was sick. But I tell you, this is a free marketing idea for UVM. Replica ring night at Patrick Gym. And I got to say, this is the one thing that I think UVM really, really lacks is a marketing and promotions directive. And I've said this before, and I don't want to bag on people on campus because there's a lot of people in those departments that I like. But what UVM doesn't do well or enough of is things like that, right? When I used to work at UAlbany, I used to be on the crowd, or I used to be on the floor.
T-shirt cannon?
I was throwing T-shirts in. I ran the T-shirt cannon. I was bringing the cheerleaders out to run the T-shirt gun. Like, this was every time there was a media timeout. I was on the floor getting people on their feet, throwing T-shirts, tees for threes, all that kind of stuff. And like, we'd bring students out to you had to hit a layup, a free throw, a three-pointer, and a half-court shot in 30 seconds. And if you could do that, you won free tuition for a semester. Like, this was if you could hit a three-quarter court shot, you won a free TV. Like, this was every timeout, every media timeout at a UAlbany game. I was on the floor leading some kind of promotion like this, or there was some kind of get you in the building. Hey, here's UAlbany calendar night. Here's UAlbany poster night. Like, that stuff at UVM doesn't really exist, and I think that it should. And I guess on one level, the college doesn't have to, because the games are all well attended, right? Like, it's the only game in town. It's always been a good crowd. You're guaranteed 2,500 to 3,000 there every night. It's almost a sellout every single night. So on one way, you don't have to do that stuff. But every year, Danny, we have the debate, why don't students come? The answer, you don't do things like I just said. If you want everybody in the building to be between the ages of 40 and 75, just do what you're doing, right? You're already doing really well at that because people like to come to the games. That is no debate. If you want students to come to the games, you got to have some gimmicky stuff. You do, right? Like, okay, free pizza for the first 500 students who come. As a college kid, Danny, when you're poor and you're broke and it's cold and you don't feel like making anything.
I've gotten free pizza in my row, though. I have.
Huh?
I've gotten free pizza in my row before at a UVM game. Have you?
In your row. I'm talking about getting you in the building, right? Like free pizza for the first 500 students. Okay, now I'm there. Free, here's a free voucher to a restaurant in town for the first 500 students. Hey, here's a free replica ring for every fan in attendance. Like that stuff would be cool and that stuff would do well. And there needs to be more of it. You can't that's always been my contention. Like, don't just rely on the fact that, we've always been good, so people always come. You got to do some things to jack it up. Even Becker seemed like he liked my idea, right? Like, he knows that's a gold mine. That's free. Anyone at UVM who's listening who wants that intellectual property, I won't even claim it. Just give me one of the replica rings and Danny, okay? Let me take care of Danny. We'll each get a replica ring. If you go and do that, I won't even hold that idea to my own, right? You can have it. I'm giving it to you for free. I promise you. It is a good one. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Danny, I am really pumped about Iliri Iafalele because that's a guy who now I want to see. And Becker says he gained 20 pounds.
Shocking.
In an offseason. I mean, that's since the last time I saw Iliri Iafalele was when the last game ended in March when they lost to Marquette in the NCAA tournament. So that is 7 months ago. So I last saw Iliri Iafalele. I mean, 20 pounds in 7 months certainly doesn't seem impossible, right? Guys do that, but that seems difficult to believe. So I can't wait to see him now in a more up close and personal manner when we start seeing these games. And he is a difference-making athlete, right? Defensively, rebounding. They have nobody like him. Nobody on this roster is like him, at least of the guys that I know who they are, right? I don't know about the new guys. I don't know about freshmen transfers. But from the guys who are returning, nobody is like Iliri Iafalele. He has got something that no one else has. He's got a bounce to him, a length to him. He can be an absolute defensive stalwart. He was last year at the end of the year. He could be absolutely great on the glass. If he can get it going offensively, I mean, that just opens up a whole new world. Now, Becker said he's gotten better off the dribble. Uncoordinated is the wrong word, right? But he's so long and he's so athletic. He's definitely is growing into his body. So he didn't look as comfortable putting the ball on the floor last year. If he's at a point this year where he can put the ball on the floor and go to the rack, he's going to be able to finish over people. I am not going to put, 15 a game on his plate. But if I can put 8, that's huge.
And a couple poster dunks.
If I look at this team right now, and again, I'm going based on returners because I don't know everybody on this roster right now. But if you told me, Brady, of the guys you know, what would you expect? If Aaron Deloney could get 14 a game, if Matt Veretto could get 12 a game, if Iliri could get 8 a game, I mean, that would be a really good start. If TJ Hurley can get 9, 10 a game, I mean, you're talking about 4 players there that are near double figures. You get 4 players nearing double figures at this level of basketball, you're going to be pretty good. And then you throw in the other guys, right? The kid they get from Fairfield, TJ Long, Seth Joba, the youngster out of Buffalo. I don't know how much he's going to play, if he's going to redshirt, whatever. Jackson Skipper, Sam Alamutu. There are guys here that can do some things. So I'm looking forward to it. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Mac Jones got some praise from one NFL insider, and one NFL player isn't having it. We'll tell you about that conflict next on DEV.
Have you been thinking about installing a heat pump but didn't know where to start? Mitsubishi Electric Heating and Air Conditioning heat pumps provide year-round comfort with air filtration and precise temperature control. Plus, generous incentives and rebates are now available. Contact the Diamond Elite Certified Technicians at the Energy Co-op of Vermont for a free quote at ecvt.net.
Use less, save more at the Energy Co-op of Vermont.
Marvin windows are designed for unprecedented performance and exceptional aesthetics. Marvin's expansive window portfolio has every style you can imagine, all of them crafted with the highest quality material and the ability to mix and match across product lines that allows you to achieve the right form and function for your residential, commercial, and replacement needs. See our Marvin specialist at Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber in Middlesex, St. Albans, Enosburg, Swanton, and Derby, or online at sticksandstuff.com.
Are you looking for rewarding work where you can make a difference in our state? I'm Paul from Green Mountain Solar. As one of the fastest growing solar companies in Vermont, we're looking for talented candidates for our solar advisor, installer, and electrician roles. We offer a competitive salary and benefits package and the opportunity to do meaningful work. We pride ourselves on providing the best customer experience, and that is only possible when we have a strong team. To apply, please go to greenmtnsolar.com or send your resume to jobs@greenmtnsolar.com.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Now you can get a Walmart Plus membership, plus not pay for it, because it's included with Straight Talk wireless plans. You get free delivery with Walmart Plus a Paramount Plus subscription included. Plus, you pay less for gas. That's a lot of pluses.
Only Straight Talk gives you unlimited 5G data and Walmart Plus included on select plans for free.
Straight Talk wireless, available at Walmart.
Requires service on Gold or Platinum Unlimited. One offer per eligible account. Paramount Plus Essential Plan only. Separate registration required. Additional terms apply.
Hi, this is Dr. Brad Schaefer. As a podiatrist, I can tell you no two people's feet are alike, which is why I recommend Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotic inserts. They're customized for your feet, so you get a unique solution your feet really need, not just a one-size-fits-all insole. They're clinically proven to provide pain relief for achy feet, knees, lower back, plantar fasciitis, and heels. Take the Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotics assessment in Walmart today, now in the foot care aisle.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 50 features.
Ooma?
Yep. Switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Find small business calm at ooma.com/radio. That's OOMA.com/radio.
When your people are ready, your business is ready. Cintas makes sure they have what they need to perform their best. Whether it's freshly laundered work apparel for almost any job imaginable, fire protection systems that are tested and inspected, first aid and safety supplies, floor mats, or cleaning tools and restroom products, stocked and ready when you need them. Better work days happen together, so visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Vermonters know they can depend on WDEV day to day and in times of crisis. Paul Costello expresses his thoughts on the importance of WDEV.
WDEV, you guys stand for something, and you're like the heart and soul of community radio, and I love that, but, you really all have stepped up in such a great way.
WDEV, in service to the community for 92 years. FM 96.1 and AM 550. Streaming at WDEVradio.com.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
I also thought it was interesting hearing John Becker talk about why there's two Division III games on the schedule. Here's what became apparent to me. So the program has always had 3 games where they go out on the road and get paid for, right? They've always had 3 games where they get paid to go and play a bigger school. This year, they pared that down to 2, which is one of them is Bradley and the other one is Virginia Tech. So UVM is getting 2 games is getting money for 2 games on its schedule. And then that third game, they were trying to figure out what to do with. Becker said, we tried to get home and homes with other regional teams. We could not. I don't know who all he called, right? I imagine he probably did his due diligence. He could not get any takers. As for the idea of, okay, would you go to UMass 3 times for them coming here once? Don't know if that was explored. I wanted to ask it, but we were up against time. So don't know about that. So he said, look, we couldn't get anybody else to do a home and home with us. So basically we did with what was left, and we went and got another D3 game. You don't have to like the answer, but that's the answer. What's very clear to me is that the administration paying a team to come to Vermont was never in the cards. That was very clear to me. I don't know how much money it would cost. I don't know what kind of program you would get, but paying somebody to come to Burlington and play at Patrick Gym was very clearly never in the cards. He didn't answer. He didn't mention that to me. And I think if it had been a talking point, I think he would have, right? Like, he's always been honest with us and forthcoming with us. And he didn't mention it at all. So that became very clear to me. 802-585-3026. Again, Catamount Hoops season begins the 28th of October with the exhibition matchup against Catholic, November 1st against St. Mike's, in the regular season on November 6th. And I will have sound next week from Media Day. I think it's Wednesday, Thursday. We've got the Women's Media Day and then the Men's Media Day. So we'll have different sound from Elisa Kresge and from John Becker as we get ready for Catamount Hoops. Dan Orlovsky of ESPN, Danny, created some a mini firestorm this week when he said this about Mac Jones.
You gotta stretch here. If Mac Jones was in San Francisco, he would be playing like Brock Purdy.
I actually agree.
Oh,
God, no.
Yes, dude.
No, there's no chance. He'd be better than he is. But if you think he's going to play like Brock Purdy, you haven't paid attention to Brock Purdy. That is a slap in his face.
No, it's not.
He's not just a system quarterback.
Did we pay
that guy's
attention?
playing like Joe Montana, not Joe Montana, like this guy's playing.
Stop,
Dano, stop.
Did we pay attention to Mac Jones' rookie year? So that never happened?
No, I did. And I even called him a pea shooter then.
He did.
No quarterback is going to be successful in New England.
I agree with that part.
No quarterback this year.
Absolutely.
So Dan Orlovsky says that if Mac Jones was in San Francisco, he'd be Brock Purdy. I have said that. I agree with that. George Kittle, who plays with Brock Purdy, doesn't, though.
When you hear Dan Orlovsky say Mac Jones will be doing the same thing he does that...
You know what? I saw that this morning.
Yeah.
That's disrespectful to Brock Purdy. I think Mac Jones is a fine quarterback.
Yeah.
Currently what Brock's doing, you look at his stats, just watch the tape. Like, people just say, oh, I see his stats. I see some of the things they talk about on Sunday Night Football. No, like, just watch him move in the pocket. Watch some of these throws that he's making. Sure, is there room for improvement? There's room for improvement on all of us. We can all get better. The reason that Brock gets, it's all focused on him is he's a quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, and we're 5-0. One of the most historic franchises, there's always a quarterback, some type of, not controversy, but someone wants to say something about the 49ers quarterback, and that's what it's talked about. Okay, so let him talk about it. Just watch the tape and watch what he does every single game. It's phenomenal.
I appreciate Kittle sticking up for his guy. I do believe that Mac Jones could be Brock Purdy if he were in San Francisco. Like, I do. And I don't watch the tape like Kittle is. I'm guilty of not fully understanding all the nuances of quarterbacking. I'm sure there are things that Brock Purdy does that are very, very subtle that I don't pick up on. Brock Purdy is clearly good at his reads. He's clearly good at going to a second and third progression. But Brock Purdy also has he also has what Mac Jones doesn't, which is a system designed to help a quarterback be successful. And I'm not knocking him for that. I don't think this idea of system quarterback is a bad thing. Quarterbacks need help. Brock Purdy has a lot of it, right? Like, and I think if other quarterbacks had what Brock Purdy has, they too could look like Brock Purdy looks. Look, Mac Jones played at a better school than Brock Purdy did. Mac Jones played in more meaningful college football than Brock Purdy did. Mac Jones clearly has something. What Mac Jones doesn't have is what Brock Purdy has at the pro level. Look at what Brock Purdy has, right? Brock Purdy has Deebo Samuel, one of the most electric athletes in the NFL at wide receiver. Oh, by the way, he's got Brandon Ayuk, one of the most electric athletes in the NFL at wide receiver. Oh, by the way, he's got George Kittle, the second best tight end in the NFL, not named Travis Kelce. Oh, by the way, he's got Christian McCaffrey, the best running back in the NFL.
Who
catches passes as well. Oh, by the way, he's got an elite defense anchored by an elite pass rush and one of the best linebackers in the NFL in Fred Warner. And oh, by the way, Brock Purdy plays in the worst of the two conferences, so there are more interconference games and interdivision games that give you opportunities to win. I'm not trying to take away from Brock Purdy. He's playing very well. But if Mac Jones had that stuff and had Kyle Shanahan as his offensive play caller, I think Mac Jones could be doing what Brock Purdy is doing. Kyle Shanahan is a difference maker. Look, Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons, and he got the Falcons to the Super Bowl, and Matt Ryan won the MVP. And Matt Ryan, that got washed up very quickly, was the MVP with Kyle Shanahan, quarterback friendly in Atlanta. Then he goes to San Francisco. They do nothing but win with Jimmy Garoppolo. Is Jimmy Garoppolo excellent? No, he's not. But he looks pretty darn good with Kyle Shanahan. Nick Mullins looked pretty good with Kyle Shanahan. Brock Purdy looks pretty good with Kyle Shanahan. This is the team that he has. This is the system that he has, and he is able to benefit from that. There's no crime in that. There's no need to apologize for that. And maybe Brock Purdy is better than maybe some of us think he is, but Mac Jones is better overall than what he is showing right now. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that Mac Jones would be Brock Purdy if he were there. If Justin Fields were in San Francisco, he'd be a lot better. If Anthony Richardson were in San Francisco, he'd be a lot better. All of this stuff.
Didn't the Niners tease drafting Mac Jones?
I mean, Kyle Shanahan wanted to draft Mac Jones right before they draft. The only one it hasn't worked with is Trey Lance, so we don't even really know how it would have worked given that Trey Lance was hurt all the time. So, yeah, they did want to draft Mac. They almost drafted Mac before trading up to get Trey Lance. So I get why Kittle's offended, and I get, standing by your guy. That makes sense, and I would be upset with you if you didn't do that. But Orlovsky's not wrong, okay? Quarterbacks need stuff around them, and Brock Purdy has the best stuff. And, by the way, Bryce Harper just went deep again for the Phillies. Wow. They lead the Braves 7-1. I'll leave you on that note. We got playoff baseball coming up today. That is the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. Our coverage at 7:30. First pitch, or at 8:30, first pitch is just after 9. Thanks to Danny. Go download the podcast. See you tomorrow.
The 18th annual Big Dog Daddy Urine Clearance Sale is going strong at Lamoille Valley Chevy. Tell them, bro. Folks, take it from me that you can